guys, welcome back to my channel, Stylish Hidden Treasures. My name is Mary and I'm a full-time reseller on both eBay and Poshmark. Today I'm bringing you a slightly different video. This video is a little bit more informative, but I feel like it is worth discussing when it comes to us all sharing some tidbits of information that may help us in our reselling business. Now, as you've seen in many of my haul videos, especially my Goodwill Outlet videos, I will kind of discuss why I pick certain things up. And sometimes those things change according to the market, the economy, for an example, and what people are actually buying. So one thing I kind of seen that I've noticed as an ongoing trend in my store is a lot of my kid things are selling. Children's clothing, infant clothing, brands and styles and things that I probably wouldn't have picked up in the past because I figured, hey, it's not really worth the trouble. It's not worth it for the profit margin being a little bit smaller. But I'm starting to notice a lot of those items are selling. And so I thought I would make this video to kind of give some, I don't know, I guess advice on sourcing outside of some of the things that maybe you're used to picking up. One thing I've noticed, and I've mentioned this before in my haul videos, is many times us parents will buy for our children before we buy for ourselves. And we often want to have nice things for them, obviously, but we don't want to pay a large amount of money because they're going to grow out of them. They're going to go to school and spill paint and be on the playground and have a hole and discoloration and everything else that kids do to their clothing, which is normal. They're kids, right? Well, we still want them to have nice brands, but we don't want to pay a ridiculous amount of money. So what I think is good about the reselling market, as well as just pre-owned clothing in general, is sometimes people, depending on their budgets, can purchase these brands used that are very expensive brand new. And so I think there's definitely a market. One thing that I've noticed, and in this video I'll put up in the corner various different things that I have sold recently that are children's clothing and for how much. But one thing that I've noticed is the mall brands actually still sell. Now, when I mean mall brands, I mean the Gap Kids. I don't know if Gymboree is still selling. Or excuse me, is still in the mall, but it is selling. The Children's Place, Justice, all these type of brands that used to be in the mall or maybe are no longer in the mall aren't going to get you a lot. Now we're looking at the maybe the $8 to $10 range, which doesn't seem worth it, right? And I'll go further in a minute to explain why maybe it's still worth to pick up these items. However, the boutique brands, the vintage dresses in the higher end designer brands do really good, at least in my opinion, for children's clothing. So we will discuss those brands too. So we're going to go ahead and do the top 20 brands to consider picking up for reselling for children. Now, there's a couple different things you can do. Obviously, if you're a reseller, you can sell on eBay, Mercari, Poshmark. Kittison, which is geared towards children when it comes to clothing. You can take brands from the Goodwill Outlet, for example, or yard sales, and you can take them to your buy-sell trade to like a Once Upon a Child, and you can get money for these brands where you can just literally take the money and go, or you can use that money to maybe buy some more clothing that your child does need. So there's that. There's also you simply sending in your stuff to like Hannah Anderson and Patagonia and these websites where they will buy back your item. So whatever you paid for full price, used, if it's in pretty good condition, they will give you money for those items. So that's one thing you could also do with children's clothing. Now, thoughts to consider before we go into the list. It is very easy to list children's clothing. Like you can lay them flat or you can put them up in a hanger and, you know, good lighting. The measurements are super easy. They're easy to store. The inventory system when it comes to children's clothing is super easy, right? You could just literally have a bin full of nothing but children's dresses, and it's easy to find. They are usually a fast seller if they're priced really well. You can easily roll in free shipping into a children's, item, and it is even more desirable. So there's many different things you can do when it comes to profit and reselling these items. Now, when it comes to sourcing, I personally think the Goodwill bins is the best option when it comes to finding some of these brands. However, there's yard sales where people are offloading tons of stuff. I mean, there's Facebook Marketplace and Let Go and all these places where they actually will give away. There's people giving away kids stuff because they just simply want to get rid of it. You could pick these things up for free, sell them in lots, and make money. So there's that. So what are some of the good brands to consider when reselling? Well, there's tons of them, right? But I have the top 20 based on things that I have sold, things that I've researched and kind of looked into. And these are simply in my opinion. There may be more that can be added. And of course, if you find these brands or you have your own brands that I didn't mention, please share with us so that way we too can look forward to picking these up and selling them. So here are the top 20. And up in the corner, I will also show you the website of kind of, the different types of things that they're selling. Maybe the price ranges, because as you can see, probably in the first 7 or 8 things on my list, they're kind of expensive. We're looking at dresses that are around the $50 range, brand new. So if you find these dresses at the Goodwill bins, for an example, you can still get a pretty good profit. I mean, you could literally sell these for around $18 to $25 easily. So the very first thing is Mini Bowden. Mini Bowden is a UK brand. This is sold here in the States at Macy's and Nordstrom. They are actually located in England and Wales. I actually find quite a bit of Mini Bowden at our bins. And anytime you can find the sweater dresses and the embroidered styles, the more novelty type of prints tend to do a little bit better for me. So Mini Bowden would be number 1. Number 2 is Matilda Jane. Now, when I was doing the research for this video, I didn't even realize Matilda Jane is actually located here in Indiana. This is where I'm at. I'm in Indianapolis, and they're in Fort Wayne, which is 4 hours north of us. I didn't know they even originated here, which explains why I find quite a bit of it at the bins. Matilda Jane, from what I kind of researched, may be closing. I'm not sure if that's true or not due to financial issues. So when you have brands that are in the mall that are no longer there, brands like this Matilda Jane, which I thought was doing really good, but apparently maybe not, those brands become even more desirable when it comes to the pre-owned market. So people that love this brand, but they can't find it, they're going to come and try to look for that on websites. So definitely consider picking up these brands that no longer sell in the mall, that are still very much desired. Number 3 is Hannah Anderson. Now, I just knew the Hannah Anderson was an out-of-country brand. However, it's located in Portland, Oregon, which is in the US, which was strange. But I guess it originated from a woman in Sweden. So I don't know what happened there and how it ended up here, but you understand their sizing's a little different. It'll say 130, which equals to a 6 or whatever the number is. So it's a little different on the sizing. You can simply pull up the sizing chart. But Hannah Anderson has a website and they ship to over 200 countries. And so their clothing as well kind of has a lot of knits, stretchy knits, has kind of like the cotton and spandex combination of the dresses and the pajamas, boys and girls. And I guess apparently there are some women's sizes of Hannah Anderson too, which don't oftentimes go for as much as the children's clothing, but they are definitely a desired brand. Number 4 is Vintage Dresses. Now, I don't have a website I can take you to because this is clearly something you just have to source from the bins or wherever that you source your items from. But any kind of vintage frilly dress, a dress that has a crochet or embroidered, like an apron style or a nice collar, The Amish dresses style that are like the modest style, any type of 80s over the top type of dressy dresses do very well. In many cases, those dresses sell quicker than my normal women's dresses. So definitely consider picking up vintage dresses at the bins. If you checked out my last haul, you would see that I had a ton of vintage clothing, like vintage little girls, baby dresses with all kind of fun little embellished or embroidered detailing, smocked, anything like that sells, guys, and oftentimes sells super quick. The next thing, which is number 5, is Burberry. Burberry, any kind of designer brand like Chanel, Dolce & Gabbana, any of those brands that are obviously extremely expensive, even for an adult size, are going to be really good for kid sizes too. I don't see very many of those at the bins. However, if you're able to come into like an estate sale or something like that, or maybe a higher end type of clientele, I guess you want to call it, those type of brands do really good as well. So number 6 is Janie and Jack. This was founded in San Francisco, California. They kind of gear more towards the smaller sizes like the newborns, the baby, but they do have also some girls and boy sizes. Now, anything I get this Janie and Jack, usually if you get like a pea coat or something like that, you can easily get a $25 bill for. Now, the little skirts and the little tops don't go for a ton of money, but they're fast sellers. So sometimes for me in a reselling business, if I listed it and 10 minutes later it sells, that's better for me to lose a couple dollars and have a quick sell than for me to, list it up a little bit and have to wait for it to sell. So for what I've noticed is Janie and Jack sells super quick. Next thing is number 7, Lauren Ralph Lauren, which we all know is not a cheap brand for women's clothing, but for kids, it's actually pretty close to the same when it comes to price range. Like some of their kids' clothing is just as much, if not more, than an adult size, which is kind of funny, right? But I've noticed that any type of military style jacket or pants or anything like that immediately sells. Any type of sweater that has an embroidered teddy bear or something on it sells really quick, and for quite a bit of money when it comes to kids clothing. Lauren Ralph Lauren is sold at like Dillard's and Macy's and Sears, and obviously they have their own website as well. Number 8 is Canada Goose. As you can see in the clip, the jackets are expensive. We're talking about $300, $400, $500 puffer jackets for a little kid. Not everyone has that type of money when it comes to getting their kid a coat. However, for some people, it's worth for them to pick it up pre-owned because they can simply get the same brand that they're wanting, but for a much less price. So definitely pick up Canada Goose. There is a lot of great jackets and outerwear and things like that for your child. Another brand is called Bloomie's Babies. This is sold at Bloomingdale's. This too is not a cheap brand. Like when it comes to the dresses and the pants and stuff, it's easy for you to get an outfit that you'll be at least spending at least 60 to 80 bucks. If you find this brand at the Goodwill, that is too a good brand to pick up. Now, number 10 is Zoodle, which I think I'm saying that right. This kind of goes into the same line of vintage, and it's some brands that maybe we weren't aware of back in the day that were actually a really hot item, like these art to wear, these embellished over the top graphic print type of clothing does really good still. And as you can see in the corner, that the comps are actually really good for this particular brand. I do have a sweater dress that I currently have listed, and I believe it's close to 30 bucks, maybe a little bit over, and there are a ton of people watching it. So definitely consider looking into your vintage kind of graphic print brands that maybe were really, really popular at one point and they're no longer in business. Another thing to consider is number 11, which is Miabel Girls. Any kind of boutique brand, any kind of brand that's kind of like a specialty kind of store, any type of brand that has, which is not necessarily this one, but anyone that has like flower girl dresses, like little frilly tea dresses, things like that go really well. If you can find a David's Bridal, which is not on this, but a David's Bridal flower girl dress that is beautiful, embellished, and vintage, that is almost $100 bill. So definitely consider picking up your dressier occasions, your formal occasions, and then your boutique brands. Number 12 is Lola and the Boys. As you can see on this website, they also have a lot of really cute prints, really neat styles, definitely things that you would pick up and maybe have on a special occasion or just simply casual wear. So Lola and the Boys is a good brand as well. Now, number 13 is Baby Bajorn. I hope I'm saying that right. Now, there's not, I don't think, any clothing in this particular brand. However, there are a lot of baby carriers, like the soft ones that you can carry a baby close to you. You can find a lot of those. Baby slings. I can't think of what it's called, where it's just literally like a wrap, like a sling wrap. But those type of things actually end up at the bins and the Goodwills quite a bit, and they are great for reselling. So you have to be careful when it comes to baby items, when it comes to bumper crib things and blankets, and some things are outlawed in certain states or whatever for safety reasons. But brand new with tag, baby blankets that are knit, brand new with tags, or even pre-owned baby slings and carriers do really good on the pre-owned market. Number 14 is Tea Collection. Once again, as I mentioned, any type of boutique-y type of brand, something where people have to get a catalog or they have to go online to specifically buy those items, tend to have a higher price, and therefore the reseller value tends to be there if you find it pre-owned. Another thing when it comes to number 15 is like Jelly the Pug, any type of bohemian style, mixed media, lagging look, the same type of styles that you would maybe pick up for women are still desirable when it comes to their children's line. So definitely pick up anything that's a little bit outside the box as well. Number 16 that we mentioned was Patagonia Kids. Patagonia clearly is not a cheap brand. Excellent resale value in general. And then they too were one of those brands that I mentioned where you can do the trade-in, where you can simply send in your item and they will pay you, I guess, for a certain amount for those kid items. Also, if you find like a small fleece Patagonia pullover, you can usually get 25-30 bucks just for that in a kid size. So definitely pick up your outdoor brands, the REIs, your Cabela's, those type of brands that are a little bit more expensive, but yet the kids' value is there when it comes to the clothing. Number 17 is Mud Pie, and I meant this too is like a boutique type of brand, but I wanted to mention them too because anytime you can get a style where the mother can wear the matching dress is kind of fun, right? And so some of those brands do pretty good too, where the mom can wear the dress and then the kid or baby has the same version, same style, and it's kind of like a mommy and me type of thing. Those brands do pretty good too. Then number 18, which is definitely a mall brand, and we're going to kind of get into the lower end brands now, is Children's Place. Children's Place wasn't ridiculously high even when my child was younger. However, it was still kind of up there. What we would do personally is we would go to the outlets and then maybe find those Children's Place items that were on sale, and you get 3 for $25 and those type of things. but some of their shawl sweaters that I've sold lately, some of the embroidered type of detailing, brand new with tag items have done pretty good. So definitely don't pass up on your summer dresses, your knits, anything that you can find that's brand new with tags, because sometimes people simply donate items because their kid has outgrown them. So definitely pick those items up and then consider reselling those as well. A couple more brands that are known, which will be 19 and 20, would be Gap Baby, which does pretty good for me when it comes to a quick sale. Not a lot, but a quick sale. If you find the leather jackets, genuine leather that is, from Baby Gap, those do pretty good. If you find Gymboree, you know, some of those brands that may or may not be still around, but they're really cute, adorable styles. Those two are worth selling because you can literally list a ton of those items within an hour, and then it actually seems like it's worth it. So those were the top 20 of brands to consider when it comes to reselling. And like I said before, if you find some of these brands that were really in at one point, I don't even know if Justice is still around, but I think it may not be. Brands like that people are still looking for, it's still worth picking up. One thing that you have to consider when it comes to these type of sometimes higher end brands or even mall brands, I mean, you're not really in that much money because these items are so lightweight. So when you look at the grand picture, right, just like if you're selling a bra or a silk scarf, like I mentioned quite often, is when you get something that's very lightweight and you're not in at maybe pennies on the dollar, and then you resell it for $8 or $10. If you sell 3 or 4 of those, then well, you've made $32 or so in an hour. So when you look at it that way, it seems like picking up children's clothing is kind of worth it, right? So maybe it's, you know, maybe it's not your thing, but I would definitely consider looking at that as a potential option when it comes to sourcing for your reselling business, because there is a wide range of buyers on the market right now, and anytime they can get a steal and a deal, that's what they're looking for. So I hope you found this video very informative, or at least gave you some ideas of things to consider when you go to source for certain things. I personally have sold quite a bit of children's clothing, and it seems like it is selling even more right now. So definitely consider picking those items up. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video and got just a little bit of, you know, a tad bit of information that maybe you hadn't thought of, please consider liking the video. And then also hitting the bell notification on the way out, so that way when I come up with the next video, you'll be aware when it's uploaded. So thank you guys again for watching and all your support, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks guys. Bye.